another episode of the Alchemy of Us. Besides the beautiful Tabitha Harris, Beyonce, I'm Slick Rick, and today it's a special show just because of what we're going to be talking about. It's Sunday, depending upon where you're at. So let's kind of get into what we were discussing. So I think it started with, if we want to go all the way back,
Yeah.
with the Jehovah's Witness
Okay.
and the blood.
Oh yeah. So we were talking this morning because I was born and raised into the Jehovah's Witness religion. You know, that's what I was indoctrinated in. And we were talking about the issue of blood and why they don't take blood transfusion. And I was telling him how there's a scripture in the Bible that they would use to justify not taking in blood. And it was found, I believe, in the book of Acts, where it tells you to abstain from things strangled and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was saying how recently I saw, just a couple of weeks ago, there were many people who saw, I guess, a new video by one of their elders in their governing body talking about the blood issue and about how, you know, their understanding has changed and that it's okay for, you know, I guess people to take blood into their body and stuff like that. I don't know, something to that degree. But anyway, it caused like an outrage, an outrage for people who like, wait a minute, my family, I have had family members that died over the years due to this. It was very angry. And like I said when I was telling Rick, I said, you know, when we read that scripture in the book of Acts, I said, well, you know, as I read this, I said, there's a lot of things that is said in this scripture. And one of the things I realized in that scripture, it talked about not eating the
meat of a strangled animal.
Meat of a strangled animal. I said, wait a minute, why are y'all eating meat when your Bible says you shouldn't be?
Right.
So my thing is, like I told him, I said, what other scriptural justification says it's okay for you to eat meat? And remember, and when I think about it, this was after, in the book of Acts, this is after what Jesus already was gone and
Right. Because Acts is written by Paul, who was formerly Saul.
Right. So if Paul was telling the Christians back then that they shouldn't be taking in blood from, you know, animals, but also eating the flesh of animal, why are y'all eating meat? That's one of the things I'm saying to myself, like, wait a minute, y'all shouldn't even be eating meat. Mm-hmm. But then when I was thinking too, in my own understanding of the Bible and my thoughts when it comes to also, when I think back under the Mosaic law and the Israelites back then, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they wouldn't eat the delicacies of the king. I believe it was meat.
Right.
I believe it was meat because I believe they was probably vegans. And that's just my thought on that. Because I'm like, what other things were they told not? Why were they not to eat the delicacies of the king? I think that meat was it. What would be forbidden?
Right.
I would think it would be meat.
I would think so too. If you're listening or when you catch this, if you're not with us live, hey, please comment. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, what would be your thoughts on that?
So I was raised in a Christian church, so I don't remember those type of dietary restrictions placed on us, or even from the medical standpoint. So it was interesting when you were talking about that, and you read the scripture, and it was Acts 15, verse 20
through 29.
22, 29, if you want to fact check us, and then that way we can actually have a good conversation about this. when she read the verses to me, in my own wisdom, I didn't get where you shouldn't be taking in blood from someone else. It just says blood, which is left for interpretation. So, I mean, what does that really mean? And so the fact that they being the leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses now have changed that interpretation just goes to show you that that's all anybody is doing, is interpreting these scriptures. So it begs to ask the question, what makes one person's interpretation accurate and correct over another? And if you're going to say, well, they went to theology school, I would point this out to you. Theology schools are usually state funded. And if you're a state funded school, regardless of the institution, the government has some say as to what you're teaching. That's all I'm going to say.
And it's funny because as we were talking about that, that's when we also ventured into, like, when we think about today, and if we look at our ancestors and how, okay, if you look at the Bible, think about it. In the Bible, previously, people did not have really kings and stuff over, ruling over them at one point. They were responsible to God. Meaning, you had to be accountable to just the Creator. We didn't have anybody else that really, honestly, if we think about it, that we had to go to. We had to actually talk to God. And from there, we worked with God with whatever issues that we had. Mm-hmm. When we think about the Bible, in the Bible, that's when God said, because man wanted man to rule them. So what did God say? He would give, okay, you want a man to rule you? Fine. Think about why we have all this foolishness now. Just wanted to be ruled by who? By man. By man. And because of that, why we're in the nation that we are in. It's because of the fact that we are being ruled by man.
I mean, and that makes it very interesting when you think about the separation. And so that's why the separation between man and God. Mm-hmm. And then you start to understand, or you should start to understand, when Jesus came, he simply was saying, you don't need an in-between. You don't need anybody to go to God for you. You can go to God yourself. Right. Because God is within you.
Right.
But we have created this situation where we feel like God is outside of us. So therefore, we're not doing anything.
Right.
We give up, we willingly don't want to have responsibility for our actions because we're going to say outside forces are causing that to happen, when in fact we create what happens to us.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, because when we think about man wanted man to rule him, which is why now we're dealing with a lot of the foolishness that we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Think about it logically. You did not have to consult with anybody. You just talked to the Creator. Whatever it was that you were dealing with, our ancestors originally used to sit and commiserate under the heavens. Talk to God. And your higher self would get some type of understanding
as far as with what needed to happen,
Mm-hmm.
or where you needed to go, or what needed to be directed. And unfortunately, we now live in times where the rulers that you have are not the rulers that you really want.
Right.
And you're trying to still depend on other humans when you don't, when you need to realize you have the power over you. You don't need anybody else telling you what to do. You don't need anybody making laws. Why? Because you have universal laws. The basic standard of laws is be following, but some of you just don't want to always do that. You want to look to somebody else to always solve your problem when you are the creator of your life and can solve your own issue.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be solving it. Stop looking to these humans who can't even direct their own steps. Even the Bible tells you that. Your own Bible, many of you who follow that Bible, it tells you it is not up to man to direct your steps.
And it's not.
You to be smart and to commiserate with God, knowing that you're going to be okay. That's
So-
all a youth. That's all a
It
youth
is a youth
thing.
thing. It is a youth thing. So with that in mind, please drop in the comments, tell us what your thoughts are about what we said on this topic. So then we started moving towards a friend.
Right. I have a girlfriend who's having a baby. And so I was telling him, I said, she was saying how she's comparing her pregnancies and how, she might have to go up a size in shoes. And so and she said how every pregnancy she realizes. And I sent her a comment, I said, yeah, every pregnancy is different. But one thing I realized is that when we women, you gain more weight with girls.
Which is crazy.
And here is what I believe. And this is just my thoughts as to why. And I've talked about this with my daughters. I believe that boy pregnancies are a little easier. I believe that. Because yes, males do help in the creation of us as humans. But when it comes to a female, I say it takes a lot more energy to create, I believe, a female. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I believe that is because let's think about it. We're the portal to life. Life has to come through us. That's a lot of energy that we have to deal with. And then our emotions and things that our makeup is very complex as women.
Right.
And so with that being said, I told him, I said, yeah, girls definitely will always put more weight on you. It takes a lot of energy work to create a female.
Which I, did not know that. I have two sons, so didn't really know that part of it. But that is an interesting bit of information to gain from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think that it just takes more work, for females to be created. We got so much that we're handling and dealing with, especially with us being in a space where we have babies, we carry babies for 9 months. Mm-hmm. We have a monthly period that we get to cleanse our body and to renew it. We also have, our breasts that when we have babies, it carries milk, so we gotta feed a baby. That's a lot more shit, that goes into us than a male. Mm-hmm. And I was telling him, I said, listen, both of my daughters, their pregnancies, I gained the most with them. When I had my first daughter, I was 125 pounds before I had her. The day I gave birth, when they weighed me, I was 207 pounds. Wow. I was always hungry during that pregnancy. Oh my God, it was so crazy. And I was in labor with her for 23 and a half hours. Now my last one, I gained weight with her as well. And this is another thing I realized with both my daughters,
They pulled so much daggone energy from me. My hair fell out, but they came out with a lot of hair. Oh my God, my daughters both had a lot of doggone hair. Um, my last one, I noticed I did not sleep well. I had insomnia, but when I went into labor with her, it was 28 hours of labor. This the last baby, 28 hours, and it was back labor. And they said she must have been laying on a nerve, which is why I couldn't get any relief from the epidural that they gave me. And after being stuck at 5 centimeters for well over 12, 13 hours, I was like, look, I'm like, and this is at towards like up to the 28th. I was like, look, I can't take it no more. I can't do it. Stuck at that at 5 centimeters for that long, and it just would not progress. I was like, no, you gotta get this out of me. You gotta get her out. You gotta get her out. That is enough. But I really believe that when you get pregnant with a female, if you're gaining a lot of weight, with that girl, I think that's a normal process. Because most people I know that said they got pregnant with daughters, they gained a lot of weight, or they experienced a lot of things during that pregnancy.
Mm-hmm. And it would make sense because the female is the portal of life.
Mm-hmm.
So if the baby is a female, then a lot has to go into her.
Yep.
Because when she comes out and becomes of age, you know, she'll be ready to bring forth life.
Mm-hmm.
So from that standpoint, it does make sense that a lot would have to be poured into a female baby, which would mean that you're gonna probably be gaining a lot of weight because of all that you have to consume to give to that child.
And you also want to consider too, with women, we are very complex when it comes to emotions. We are highly emotional people. When I tell you we will burn down everything behind our emotions. We will screw up some stuff. When it comes to our emotions, we have to, one of the things we as women are here to also learn is to learn about ourselves emotionally, our makeup, how to control our emotions, how to use them effectively. Because a woman who really knows who she is, the makeup of who she is, and how to utilize her energy, she is one of the most powerful women you'll ever meet. Women are the most powerful. Think about it. What do men love? Men love them some women, especially a powerful woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like they say, a man can be the head, but the woman is the neck. She can turn that neck and that head any way. If you know your power,
Absolutely. Yeah.
if you know your power, you know how to wield it with a man. And it ain't hard to do if you know yourself and you know how to operate and you know how to communicate. You definitely can do so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you. Y'all better learn your emotions. Learn to manage them. I'm telling you.
So there's another one. And so then that led us to
Talking about food. Yes.
And I'll start it off because growing up, I'm 55. So when I was in my mid-20s, early 30s, what I noticed, and I think men of my age group would say the same thing. The younger women, so we're talking about teenagers, even preteens. When we were in our mid-20s, 30s, those preteens and teenagers did not look like the same type of preteens and teenagers that we grew up with. And we were always saying, it's something in the food.
Yeah.
And then that's when Tab, now that was my experience.
Yeah.
I came in on the second part. She sets it off because
I told him, I said, I remember telling someone years ago when I was a Jehovah's Witness, this one guy, I remember we were having a discussion about the food. And I was saying, because we were eating chicken, and the chicken wings were humongous compared. We know chicken wings ain't never been this big. We know they were normal sized chicken. Now we got these gigantic chicken wings. So I was saying to him, I said, no, they're injecting the food with some type of hormone. And I said, and I believe that's what's creating a lot of young girls developing more early. I believe that. He was telling me this, and this was back in like what, the early 2000s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was like the early 2000s. We say around maybe 2000, we'll say maybe 9 or 10. Like
Okay.
8, like 7, 8, 9. In that bracket. Because that was when I was in religion.
okay.
And he was like, no, there's just no such thing. I definitely would love to see his face today and tell him, I told you I was right. They've been injecting the food with hormones, which is why we have all the health issues that we have. Think about it. These kids are stacked now. That's not normal. Back when we were kids, yeah, we were smaller.
Mm-hmm.
We were normal size. Even our flows, some of our flows for like periods for girls didn't come on till later. No, more and more girls are starting to get their menstruations very early. Like I was 9 when I got mine. And like I said, those hormones definitely has affected humanity because we look at all of the health issues. The food industry is so messed up, and I was even telling him, I believe that even now they're still doing and tweaking things to the food, which is why people can't lose weight, which is why I believe they push all these GLPs. I believe that.
So
I believe it's a perfect storm of creating you to be sick and unhealthy and to keep your dollars.
So I believe, and I'm totally 100% with her. Couple of dates or time frames that coincides with what she's talking about. So I was 12 years old. 12 years old. So that's 1982, because I was born in 1970. So 1982, I remember going to a Christian Bible camp. It was out, I'm from North Carolina, so it was out in the country, like way out. I stayed there for a week, so it was like a camp. And I remember the food there was terrible. The chicken wings were about, if you look at my hand, they were about this size of my hand, right?
Tiny, right?
They were very tiny. I mean, I'm telling you, that's how it looked. Just these two fingers, right? Not the rest of this, just these two fingers. They were, it was terrible. It was terrible, okay? 1982. When I'm in my mid-20s, early 30s, we're talking about 95 to 2000, when friends of mine, we're having conversations, and we talk about, hey, they're definitely putting something in the food, because the girls now don't look like the girls that we grew up with.
Nope.
So now we're talking about 10 years later, she's having this exact same conversation. So there is something to it. And then when she threw out there about that there could potentially be putting something in the food so that you don't lose weight, which is now why they're pushing these medications, these drugs, to do it.
Because I was telling him, this is what I find for myself. This is just for me. I find that every time
I go off of meat and just stick with vegetarian style type of eating things, whether it's just, usually when I go off of meat, I'm eating fish, beans, lots of veggies. That's kind of like my repertoire. I have no problem losing weight. As soon as I introduce a meat, oh, you can forget it. Which is why now, and also too, I'm post-menopause, so I'm beyond what other menopause. There's people that are in peri, full-blown menopause. I'm post, meaning my estrogen is gone, depleted, and I'm on a hormone therapy to help me to have the pellet to help me to have hormones and to balance out my body. But yeah, I noticed that. I'm like, that's rather odd. And then when I look at my daughters who are young and some of the food that they're ingesting, I'm telling you, you have to be a steward to your health. It's, in my opinion, and I say this with the greatest of love to all of y'all, stop looking to these man-made governments to fix you and to fix your, by whatever issues you have, whether it's financially, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. We all live according to universal law. You know the basics of what the Creator has given you. It is up to you to figure yourself out and stop relying on these other sources. There are other humans who have resources that can help you. Don't rely on them. We as a community have to help one another. So rely on the community. Stop trying to rely on these people. And you have to set your mindset to know that you're gonna be okay. Like I don't ever think of, these people can't do, I look at it like this, you can't do nothing to me, period. I don't care what you say. I don't care what laws you make up. I don't care what things you keep trying to put in the path of just humanity itself. I know that I'm the most powerful person. Nobody has jurisdiction over me but me. And I only submit to the highest authority, which is the Creator. See, when you fear what this government can do, my thing is why? If anything, you should fear the Creator. If anything, that should be where your respect and your integrity always lies. It shouldn't be to these man-made people who die like you.
They have the same consciousness as you.
As you, exactly.
I mean, we all are part of the same consciousness.
Right.
The metaphor, the analogy I will always use is, if you go to the beach, you take a container, you put ocean water in the container. You take the container home, you still got ocean water in the container. Even though it's not in the ocean, even though it's at your home could be 500 miles away from where you got that ocean water. It's still ocean water. So my point is, we're all a part of the same consciousness, even if we are in individual containers. We're all a part of the same consciousness. So therefore, one, why do we think we need to have someone in between us to reach to contact that which is within us that we are a part of? That would almost be like you as a child having someone be the go-between for your parents. Right? You just go straight to your parents. You don't need anybody that is not a part of your family to be the go-between. And that's really how we are doing this.
And that's just common sense, just like he said. I love that example you just made, that, we all have a parent. God is the ultimate parent for all of us. You do not. And I respect that people believe that they need to pray through Christ. I respect that. I know that for me personally, I don't have to. I know that
My direct connection is to the Creator. I just talk to the Creator, and I receive every blessing that it is. You have to find your own path and understanding as to what your needs are. I understand that some people need structure. Some people need to be told what to do. Some people need to be fear-mongered, which is why many stay in religion. And that's your choice. And I respect that. But on all sides of every fence, regardless of what belief system, what matters is that we all have to respect one another, period.
Absolutely. And I was just chime in on a point that she made about, okay, respect if you feel like you have to pray through Jesus. Just know that Jesus said himself, you don't have to use me or anyone to talk on your behalf. I mean, Jesus said that.
When he said he was the way, he wanted you to learn that he is the way of love. This is how you treat people. That's what that was. He was showing you an example of how to be the ultimate of love, godly love. But some of y'all have taken it so far to the point of where you're worshiping him and all that. I get it. That's your understanding. I respect that, if that's what you want. But my thing is, with you worshiping him, you don't realize you take it from who you really should be worshiping, which is the Creator, the Most High, the All, who created all things, including him. So that doesn't even make sense.
Exactly.
When Jesus himself said, don't worship me, worship God in spirit and truth. But y'all don't listen, y'all don't understand that.
And when she said, and he did say, I am the way, that would be no different than
I'm an example.
he is the example. This is the path that you have to take. You know, if somebody says, if I said that the way to get to my house is you're going to take this street, this and that, that's exactly what someone would do. They wouldn't all of a sudden go, okay, well, maybe I need to, since that is the way to Rick's house, I'm just not going to go to Rick's house, but I'm going to honor and praise the way to his house and never come to my house. So think about that. You never come to my house, but you praise and honor and uplift the way to my house. You just never go to my house. Because the way to my house is what I said. It is this way. That's how Jesus was saying. I am the way. So I am the example. I am how you should think about living your life to become closer to the consciousness, to God that is within you. The way is not, and I think that's how we took it.
Right.
We took it as, or perhaps because ministers are taught that perhaps that was the way that they were taught. Hey, when he says he's the way, then that's how you go to get to where you need to go. So you have to go through him because he is the way.
And when you think about the example of Jesus, what were the things that he did? He was showing you the things you should be doing by showing love. What did he do? He healed the sick.
Mm-hmm.
He hugged children. He taught children. We're supposed to be the teachers of children. Teaching them good things. Also, he healed the sick, the lame, and the blind.
Mm-hmm.
He fasted when he was overstimulated with people. He went in seclusion. We're supposed to do that too. It's called rest and recharge.
Mm-hmm.
We run ourselves into the ground, working constantly, doing for others and not doing for ourselves. He fasted too. That was another thing he did. Think about it. He fasted as well, which helped him to gain more strength and insight and to become more resilient as someone who was a healer, a leader, and a teacher. That was simply what he was.
That's it. That's it. And when you look at it, if you are able to look at it from that standpoint, then you understand a lot more of what he did. Think about, as Tabitha said, who he healed, but more importantly, the only reason why he was able to heal those people is because he was around those people. So he did not associate himself with the upper echelon or even the high class. He was working with the ones that needed it the most.
He was very humble.
And
Practice humility.
And that's the other ironic part to this, where there are people that praise Jesus as if he is God. So you're not listening to what he's saying in the Bible. And then if you are going to go that route, well, you're not doing what he was doing. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to say it's hypocritical. I'm simply going to say that you have the ability to think and analyze for yourself, yet you choose not to because that's how you've been taught. And what I realize is that we question everything when we're in school. When we're in school, when we're out of school, whatever, everything is questioned. The only thing that you're supposed to not question and accept it is spirituality or religion or faith. You're supposed to not question it and just accept it. And that's the most important thing in your life that really defines who you are. You're told, you're conditioned to just accept it and not question it. When we question everything else, we're not supposed to question that. That is all I'm going to say.
And I think that's crazy because how else are you supposed to learn? I question God all the time. Give me deeper understanding because I don't get this and this don't make sense to me. And I have yet to be failed when he comes back with a higher understanding for me.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to question
We're
things.
supposed to. Yet, we are taught to not question.
God is mysterious.
So the most important part of your life, you're not supposed to question it. You're just supposed to accept it. You're not supposed to understand it. Because think about this, as she said, when you question things, that helps you gain more understanding. Why would you not want to have more understanding about who you are? And who you are is rooted in your spirituality with your relationship with God. You're not supposed to question that. You're supposed to accept whatever someone else tells you. You're supposed to accept what someone else tells you about how you should feel, think, and believe.
That's like almost blindly someone telling you something that is, they feel is a fact. And then you're just like, okay, I believe it. And then later on down the line, something comes up and you're like, wait a minute. That's not
not what
you come to find out that's not even the case.
Right. It's not even the case.
You're supposed to question things. Hello. You have a brain.
If you didn't,
The Creator gave us a brain. We're supposed to logically use it, critical thinking.
exactly. And so you keep yourself in darkness. You keep yourself asleep when you don't question it. You question everything else in your life but that. And you are taught to do that. And then you are ostracized, you are ridiculed when you do question.
Right.
Right? And here's the thing.
It's blasphemous.
just like, so I'm going to say this. Ministers are no different to me than a doctor or a lawyer. Doctors and lawyers, they have practices, right? They don't have businesses. They're called practices because
Right.
they are still practicing.
Yep.
They're still practicing this profession because they hadn't seen everything,
Yep.
okay? They have reference tools that they can go off of and look at. You know, that's what lawyers do. They
Right.
look at a case and then they look for a previous case
Yep.
to figure out how they can set up their offense or defense.
It's like theory,
Exactly.
basically, and you're trying to figure out a solution to the problem.
Exactly.
When lawyers trying to win the case, so we gotta find all the inadequacies and loopholes. Just like with a doctor, we gotta keep trying this, trying that.
Keep
We
trying
just
that. We don't know. We try something and then we see what kind of reaction we get.
What really taught me that was when I used to love watching that show House. That really blew my mind years ago. I said, oh, this is what doctors do to us.
Yeah.
They don't know the answers.
They don't.
Most of them don't. What
They
they're
don't.
doing is they're playing on, not practicing, like they say, practicing with you.
Yeah, and they straight up see. So I want you to think about that. We're just dropping you something there. Doctors practice, attorneys practice. That's what their businesses are. So you can never really say that what they're telling you to do is confirmed to be the best route because they don't really know. They don't really know.
And that's why I feel to a large degree, as humans, you have to have, it is a must, especially in this day and age. The age of Aquarius is the age of great knowledge. You better learn yourself. You better learn yourself, mind, body, spirit, and soul. You better learn yourself. You better learn everything there is to know about you, what affects you, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually. You have to unpack all of that. You have to learn yourself. You are much more capable and powerful than you think if you would just learn your habits, your patterns, how to really take care of yourself emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Because if you do that, then you'll know how to deal with this world, which is sick. This world is absolutely sickly toxic. There's a lot of things that are being thrown about you every day. And if you don't understand how to combat that mess, you're going to keep falling for the same thing every single time.
Exactly. And so, to tie in everything, the reason why I said ministers and why we went off on a slight tangent with the doctors and the attorneys, ministers, what they are telling you is their interpretation or someone else's interpretation that was given to them.
Right.
It doesn't mean that their interpretation is correct. Doesn't mean that it's the right one.
Right.
It's an interpretation. And so you have the same analytical thought process to have your own interpretation. I haven't seen, there was a time back in the early, mid-2000s when I was still here in Greensboro, where a couple of ministers were accused of, not gonna say, well, they were accused of doing things or having people to do things that were not necessarily against their will, but it was based off of the interpretation of a Bible verse. Okay? And it ended up then getting into a charge of a sexual assault or
Coercion.
or what will be the other before we get to the assault? it's escaping me right now. But my point though is that they used the interpretation.
They were manipulating folks.
They manipulated them by saying, "Hey, this is what this says. Here's what we're going to read. This is what it means." And every time it meant something that would benefit the minister. Hey, I'm telling you that God's saying you can have sex with me. Right? Okay? We're taught to not question. That is simply my point to all of this. You have the ability to question, but you give up that ability and have someone else lead you so that you no longer have responsibility. That is why we're still, as a majority, asleep. And we will continue to be in this way and be led to darkness. And even if you feel like you're at the end of the light, you're at the end of the tunnel because you see the light, sometimes that light that you're seeing is the oncoming train. Just think about that. Just think about that. They're leading you down darkness and they're telling you far off in the distance, see, there's the light at the end of the tunnel. When really that light is rapidly approaching because it's the train that is coming to make an impact. So all we're asking for you is just to be critical thinkers, to actually question, to look around, because now is the time to really start to know thyself. Nothing is going to start until you understand yourself and know yourself.
Absolutely.
That's what the alchemy of us is all about. Relationships, spirituality, and life in general. That's what you got today.
It's about the makeup of you.
Mm-hmm.
You are here to learn you, to be the greatest person here experiencing life in this realm, in this time. Learn thyself. Learn thyself and love thyself. Practice things that is going to help you to grow and evolve into the most powerful God or goddess walking here in this very realm. You're so powerful. So remember that. Okay?
And that's where we end this. It's the alchemy of us.
Lady y'all.
The lovely Tabitha Harris. I'm Rick. We'll see you next week. As always, know yourself, learn yourself, and love yourself. Peace.
Later.